And I'll tell you guys since we're all friends. Every character I write has a piece of me in them. Hi, I'm Lee Bardugo. You're listening to the GrishaCast.
Welcome to GrishaCast, episode 88. In this episode, we will be discussing chapters 19 and 20 from the book Rule of Wolves. This is your host, Eric.
And I'm Terry. From Nashville, Tennessee, this is your podcast for all things Grishaverse.
A world created by the only human I know who personally been a member of a secret society, Lee Bardugo. Moi Savienyi casters.
Hello.
Ooh, well, we have some listener cities.
Sure enough. We have Shalom, Malaysia.
Ooh, we also have some in Mechanicsville, Virginia.
What's up, y'all?
Yes, hello.
Hi.
How everybody doing out there?
Hope you're doing great.
Yes, I hope so too. So, how are you, my dear friend?
I'm good.
Yeah?
It's one of those weeks where you don't know what day it is because there's
Yeah.
so much going on, and you wake up and you're like, wait a minute, what day is this? It's one of those weeks. I kept thinking it was a totally different day, like Tuesday. I'm like, why is it just Tuesday? Isn't it Friday? It was bad.
I agree. It's been one of those days. I'm definitely going to sip my tea. And
Yeah, so much tea.
so much tea. It has been a week. I am ready for it. It has been one of those, but it's definitely been a good one. I've had an exciting day, and I'm excited to be able to. I don't know. I've read some interesting things. I started a new book.
Ooh.
Yeah, Empire the Vampire, which is I've never read a vampire book before.
Which is just insane.
I know.
To be my friend.
I know.
Because I started with
Yep.
vampire books. So
I know. Anne Rice.
Yeah, so that's
I know. So
maybe you can go back and read Anne Rice now.
I will. I will definitely have to. It's very different for me, and I've always wanted to read his novels. It's I think I'm gonna butcher his last name, J. Christoph. I've always wanted to read his books, and I've tried before and just had a problem, and I don't know. Anyways, I started this one, and I'm really enjoying it. It's an adult book. It's really good. It's very it's very bloody.
It's vampire.
Yes, it is. It's very graphic, and I'm like, whew. Last night I had to put it down because I was like, okay, yeah,
We're not in YA land
Yeah.
anymore.
I really had to put it down for a second. I was like, okay, yep, I need to read something a little lighter for a second.
Oh.
Yeah, it's very good. It's just it's really cool. The world building in this is incredible. I find it incredible. It's very dark and twisted, and I think it's so neat. It's just I've never read anything like it, and I think that's what's enticing about it as well. It's just it's so different, and that's why I had to leave it out to make sure that you saw it because I was like, I have to remember to show this to you. Um, and I have I have read a vampire book before. One other book. It's
You
called
lied.
Okay, yes, I have.
Lies.
Lost Souls, by Poppy Z. Bright, which was a book by Poppy Z. Bright, and it is about gay vampires.
Oh.
It's a very good book. Love that book. I loved it. Oh my gosh. I think that was probably one of the first books I've read in high school, I think. Yeah. There's a little little gay vampire boy named Nothing.
Oh,
Maybe
that's cute.
any readers out there know what I'm talking about? Let me know, please.
Cute.
Yeah. I know you're a huge Anne Rice lover.
Yes, I'm a vampire.
And actually, this reminds me of it, to be honest, because here I'll tell you why. Because this story starts out with it is a vampire interviewing this other, like, I mean, asking this person to tell his story, and it like you find out that actually it's like this other kind of vampire, but it's like that's what the story is. Like that is the story. It's
Hmm.
this other vampire saying, and that's what this whole story is him interviewing this other vampire, and that's what the whole book is so far.
Interesting.
I know. So it very much reminded me of it. So much that when I actually saw my son in the kitchen, I like for some reason had to tell him that. And even though I knew he had no clue what I was talking about, I was like, "Have you ever heard an interview with a vampire?" And I knew he had no clue what I was talking about.
No.
Yeah.
Mm-mm.
But I brought it up to him just in case he would say yes, but he
Well,
didn't.
if you like YA and vampires, I've said it since before. There's a series called
Yes.
Vampire Girl.
Oh yeah, the brilliant novel name.
It's a horrible, horrible name, but
Yes.
it's because it was translated from like Russian.
Mm-hmm.
So it's just a bad translation.
Yeah.
But it's Karpov Kinraid is
Mhm.
the author. I think it's actually a husband and wife duo that write it.
Okay.
But it's fascinating. There's 11 books in the series,
Wow.
but I highly, highly recommend. Don't let the name
Fool me.
fool you.
Okay.
Just ignore the name and give it a chance. It's actually really, really good.
Okay.
If you need a little lighter,
A little
less violent vampire story.
Well, I'm not putting this one down. I definitely like. I'm going to. I really really like it. I just I think it's the first one, and like just like it's
It was jarring.
yeah it's
Because you're not used to it.
yeah I am. It's got a lot to it. I think there's just a lot of different monsters and beasts that are in it, and just it's very vulgar. Yeah. Anyways,
I think that's why I never really read YA fantasy before, because I like my novels dirty
yeah.
and sexual and violent and dark and twisty and messed up, and well, I like those. I mean, obviously because I started with Anne Rice, so I like those things. So sometimes I have a hard time with YA because I'm like, I want it to go a little more.
Well, and I think I do too. I think what it is I think maybe some parts just like I think sometimes because I agree. I absolutely do agree. I love it when it's dark and twisty. I think sometimes maybe when it's just too like I don't know. Sometimes if it's too real and scary for me,
Right.
like because I mean that's me. Like but
Yeah.
that's me. If it's too real and scary, like I just like, but that's me.
Yeah,
I'm just like
so there's,
oh,
like-
whoa.
There's like
Oof.
a fine
Yeah.
line there.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah. There I mean, there's this part where it's just this where it's the beginning of it's just the beginning of it. Like this world is like I mean, that's the beginning of the vampires and all this stuff is happening. Anyways, like like the world is just it's the normal world and all of a sudden the sun like all of a sudden like has this like veil go over it and like anyways then these people start disappearing and all of a sudden these daughters have been missing and these daughters all of a sudden come running up to their mother who have been missing for all these months and the mother's so happy to see them and runs up to their child and then the child's absolutely like actually this vampire and like rips out her like neck
Sweet.
and it was just like oh my god like it's just like whew that yeah that was just a moment.
Well,
And I'm
good.
sorry. Maybe I just spoiled. Well,
Spoiler alert.
it's the beginning.
Yeah.
I don't know. Anyways, it was
It
just
was just a moment.
yeah. It was a moment. But anyways, so anyways, are you reading anything else interesting?
I am working on Ash.
Oh, girl, that isn't good.
So yes, I'm working on that.
That's a great book. What do you think of it so far? It's different.
Yes, I like it.
Yeah,
Yeah, I'm into it.
it's so different, and it's amazing that was written 10 years ago.
Yes.
That's what I think
Yes.
is neat.
Yeah, because it says something about that on the front cover, and I
Mhm.
keep going. It every once in a while, I'm like, oh, really? 10 years, huh?
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm kind of placeholding, because the new Outlander book comes out in November.
I know.
And
Yep.
I pre-ordered, and getting a signed copy coming, and I just it's coming. It's coming. And it's going to probably be thousands of pages long.
Yes.
That's not even a joke. And I will be stuck.
Oh, yeah,
like,
absolutely.
Reading that.
Well, and see, for those of you listeners in the beginning, I mentioned Lee Bardugo being the only human that I actually know being an actual member of a secret society. I mentioned that because of the Ninth House sequel coming out, sometime in the next year or two, because that's what it has to do with. And I'm looking forward to that. And she's mentioned that in interviews, and we all know that Ninth House has to do with that, and she's very vocal about that. And it's very exciting. And my husband actually, I think that just shows how great of a book it is. He actually read that in a night. Finished it.
Wow.
Yes. Sat down, read it.
That's cool.
And that is such a good book. And we will be covering that on
Yeah.
GrishaCast. Grishaverse. Yeah, we're the Grishaverse
Next
now.
on Grishaverse.
Yep. We've just taken over.
It's
We're
just us now.
We're just Grishaverse. Hope you don't mind, Lee. Yep. Anyways.
We're the captain now.
Yeah, but I always read I'm always reading a couple books. I also am I'm really happy that I'm rereading this. I'm also rereading A Cruel Prince by Holly Black right now, and I'm really enjoying that. I
Good.
loved that so much, and I love that. I'm so happy I'm rereading that. That was such a good trilogy. That was the first fairy trilogy, and I was so scared to read that because I didn't want to ruin it. And oh my God, it's so amazing to read. It's so good. I wish we could cover it on here, but obviously we couldn't. But
No.
it's so good.
It's not part of
It is so good. And
Grishaverse.
no, but it's so neat to know that her and Lee are such good
Yeah.
friends and help one another out. Oh my God, I love that. I love them together, and oh my God. Yeah. And Lee saying that she would run off to Elfheim with me. Yeah, that's totally my gig. Yeah. Yeah, I would totally. Yeah. We'll never forget that.
Never ever.
Well, we should probably get started. What do you think?
Yeah.
Yeah?
I mean, we are here to actually
Cover.
chapters. So.
Okay, well, let's do
we
it.
could talk forever and ever, probably.
We can. Yeah. Yeah. So, well, anyways.
Chapter
And-
19.
Yes, but before, real quickly, I just want to say I know that this episode is coming out on the first day of October, but next week we'll begin our fabulous Oktoberfest
Shenanigans!
Yes, GrishaCast versary, fantastic fan, whatever. So we will start the wonderful cosplay fun
Time hour.
times. Yes. So just tune in, watch us on YouTube, whatever you want to do. And
You should watch us on YouTube anyway.
Yes.
You should subscribe
So-
and so that we can go live.
Yeah. Mhm. So
Just throwing that in there.
exactly.
But yes, costumes, fun, shenanigans,
Ooh,
things,
smoke and
talking,
mirrors, all of it. Oi.
glamour.
Yes. All of it. Just get ready. Mhm. Okay. Well. Okay.
All right.
Yes. So let's go.
That was fun.
Go, girl.
All right. Chapter 19
Yes.
follows Mayu.
Mhm.
If you don't remember who Mayu is, she's the guard, the Tav guard woman girl, because they are young.
Yes.
Whatever. Young lady who is with Eri. They switched places and she killed what's his name?
Yes.
That was supposed to be Nikolai.
Right.
So
A switcheroo.
switcheroo. She is on the airship back to her home in Shuhan, and while she is waiting for Eri and Tamar on some unknown detour, she's like, I don't know where the heck we are. She's thinking back to her childhood about how she's always followed the rules and nothing has changed.
Ugh.
She just has to do what she's told.
Yeah.
Eri finally comes back with a bunch of coral roses for some reason. Mayu has no idea why. She's like, that's kind of silly. We're supposed to do this thing. why you got roses, girl. Very
Yeah.
strange.
Is it Valentine's Day?
Oh, thanks. You shouldn't have. But because Mayu doesn't know the plan, we don't know either because we're following Mayu.
Right.
So we have no idea what's happening. She does overhear a conversation about doctors
Oh.
and about how the doctors in Shuhan started out studying Grisha power and performing autopsies, which clearly led to the Kergud. Like, that's how we got there.
And
Eri says she knew nothing about the Kergud and is pretty sure that most Shu actually don't know about it either, if she didn't know, and because she's the sister to the queen. Little tidbit here, because I like the little tidbits. Mayu thinks that Tamar is implying that Maki might have played a role in her mother's death because she must have started the labs before she was queen. And when there was supposed to be some sort of investigation, the mother, who was the queen at the time, was in poor health. And oops, I'm sick. I can't pursue the investigation.
Ooh,
So,
girl.
Tidbit.
Oh, that's a tidbit.
It is a tidbit.
That's a big tidbit.
So it was just a very quick little blurb, but Mayu picks up on this.
Yeah, that's something to put in your pocket.
Yes. Put a feather in it.
Oh, yeah.
So Mayu's thinking about the past again. If they got time because they're flying through the air doing nothing except for holding on to roses.
You better not forget that's on the back burner.
Yes. Her and her brother were competitive, but he was always more athletic. She left to train for the Top Guard when she saw a sign in the marketplace. It kind of reminds me of that Uncle Sam poster, we need you.
Ooh. Yes, we do.
She obviously made it in. Spoiler alert.
Oh, yeah.
Her brother's name is Rayem. Reyem. In my mind, is Rayem. He went missing one day. Oops.
I did it again.
They thought he was dead. But she was like, no way. If he was dead, I would feel it. I would know. He's not dead.
Yeah. And that's that weird twin thing, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. I would
Do you believe that?
Sort of.
Yeah, because
kind of.
Yeah.
I always I wish I kind of had a twin because I watch twins that who would know you more than your twin?
Exactly. It'd be neat.
Watching the Welsh twins on YouTube and watching them just get each other. And I'm like, dang.
Yeah, and they say, and twins usually say they've got that
a little bit of telepathy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I believe it. I think it's neat.
It's, yeah.
It'd be kind of cool.
I've always been a little jealous of that.
I know.
To have somebody get you like that would be great.
Right. God.
Yeah.
Well, let's pretend.
We're twins.
We are. Okay. We got it.
Quick, what number am I
Twin
thinking of?
13.
Yes! Duh!
Damn, we got it.
Total
twin power.
Twin power.
Total twin power.
All right.
Mm-hmm.
What food am I craving right now?
Waffles.
Yes! You got it!
Okay. Don't ask any more questions. We'll ruin it. Continue.
Yeah. I mean, we don't want to show all of our powers.
Hold
all
on.
at
I
once.
got it. You're going to continue with this chapter.
Oh my gosh. That's amazing.
I knew it. Okay.
So Rhea was actually found
Knew it.
in the Kergud program. Oops. The queen offered Mayu an opportunity to save him, obviously by killing the king and herself, remember? So that was the offer. Do this for me, and I will save your brother. But she knows now, Mayu knows now, looking back on it, that Maki would have never honored that. So she would have gone through all that, and her brother still would have been in the Kergud.
Which sucks.
Yeah. Evil.
Yeah.
So they land at a distance away from the temple. They're going to meet the ministers. The first one doesn't want to hear anything because apparently Tamar is there and is considered the enemy.
Yeah.
So just a question, because I had to remember, Tolia and Tamar are Shu, right?
Yes.
And Tolia said they left because Tamar wasn't allowed to fight, right?
I believe so. Right.
And he said something about if a woman like her wasn't allowed to fight. she wasn't allowed to fight because she was Grisha, right? Is that the reason?
I think so.
Because they're a woman-based society, so like it couldn't be just because she was a girl, which is what I thought in the beginning. But now knowing about the Shuhan, it can't just be because she's a woman because it's a woman-led society. So it has to be because she's Grisha, right?
Yeah, I think you're right.
So all of you that like to email us and tell us like if we're right, wrong, whatever, please feel free to because as I was reading it,
I think I've gone into like I know.
I know because you start going
Wait.
woo. But because I remember Tolia saying that they had to leave because it wasn't fair that somebody as talented and skilled as Tamar couldn't fight. And at the time,
I think it's because,
at the time, I thought it was because she was a girl. But now knowing what we know of Shuhan,
I think it's Grisha.
I think it's because they were Grisha.
Right, yeah.
So that's what I'm sticking to currently.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that's what it is. Because like,
if it's wrong, feel free to blast me. I don't.
I think you're right. You're absolutely right. Because they totally like, that's why, you're right.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
I just had a moment when I was making my notes like, You
know what? No, we're sticking to it.
Okay.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
All right. So, Ari is finally able to tell her story to the ministers, and Mayu tells her part of the story too. It seems like they believe the story.
Well, that's nice.
They say that they're going to place her under their protection if she agrees to show them mercy when she's queen.
Which is nice because also we do know that the people really do love her.
Yes.
We have to remember that. Like,
they call her like daughter of heaven or something like that. Yeah.
Like people really didn't like Maki too much. Maki.
Yeah.
Yeah, like she really wasn't that popular.
But Ari doesn't want to be queen at all. Like she's like, I don't want to do that.
But somehow she was really popular, which I wonder, like, I mean, the behind the scenes of how she got to be so popular. You know?
Yeah.
I mean, like, I wonder, like, how, like, I mean.
I think it goes into it at some point.
Does it?
I think a little bit. I think it's that.
I forgot, you know. I mean, I just read the book.
I think it's that, you know, she was well liked and just because she was
probably
more demure and sweet and.
Yeah, probably because
And she's good looking. Like, she's pretty without being, like, overly pretty. Anyway.
Yeah. Okay, I could see. Yeah, probably because she's not
evil?
Maki.
Yeah, there's that. She's not pushy. So they're gonna head back to the palace, but after the sun goes down. So they're gonna wait until it gets dark. The next day, Ari, Tamar, and Mayu do some like weird Pied Piper thing where they like walk through the town with Ari playing the couture, if that's what it's called, which I think is some kind of harp, and she's singing. So it's like
it's very
it
Music
reminds
Man.
me of Pied Piper, where they're like, "Come follow me, I'm singing a song." And the whole townspeople just like parade behind her, and they all like march together to the queen, who like greets them like all happily and like celebratory, like, "Yay, she's back! Isn't everyone happy?"
It's just like a musical, you know, and we love musicals.
Yes.
I mean, it's great. Come on. I mean, who didn't want a musical?
The Grishaverse musical would be great. Start writing it.
I will.
So everything changes when they get the queen alone. Obviously, she's not very happy. She's fighting them on everything until Ari points out these lovely coral roses, which the queen immediately recognizes. They are from her grandmother's garden. That is why they took the detour. Because the grandmother is still considered a Theban queen. Like, once a Theban queen, always a Theban queen. And she could actually withdraw the queendom from Maki at any time. So the grandmother actually has the power to be like, psych!
Uh-oh.
See ya.
Mm-hmm.
So the queen's actually like, well, okay. And Ari demands to be taken to the Caregood labs, or she's going to tell the grandmother everything.
Better be careful, girl. I'm about to give you a solo.
So the queen says that she'll think on it and leaves. Mayu at that point vows to find her brother, and that's the end of the chapter.
Well, that's a pretty good, like, ooh, that's so juicy.
Yeah. I mean, it was a pretty long chapter, but there
There's
was
some
just a
good
lot of like, it
stuff.
wasn't a lot of action really. So I just pointed out the
That's our first
important things.
time going back to Shuhan, right? Because the first time was when the very beginning.
Maki.
Yeah.
Mhm.
That's the first time going back in, isn't it?
Yeah, I think so.
Oh my
yeah.
god, and that was really cool.
Yeah.
How neat. I
Woohoo.
loved it. And I really
Yes.
enjoyed our musical part. How exciting.
The Grishaverse musical.
It is. Okay, so, well, unfortunately, next chapter is 20, and we're going to go back into. This is going to be Zoya, but we're not going to be in the happiest of times, okay? This actually, we are going to enter, and we have to enter back where we are going to be at. Boom, boom, boom. David's funeral. Yes, David died. This is where we find out that David had died. It ended where they were looking for David. Now we know. Yeah, he
Yeah,
had
that's
passed.
the worst.
Yep. And it's just that. Yeah. So last we knew we couldn't find him. Now we're just in the middle of his ceremony. And it's in the middle of the funeral. Zoya and Nikolai are both on Jenya's sides. They it's just really sad.
It is. Like,
It's just-
it was really depressing.
Yeah, there's no getting to this point. It's just right there.
I know. The whole time I'm like, really?
Yep.
Really? This is what we're doing now.
Yep.
Why?
They are at the side of the lake. It is kind of said that so David's body is on a pyre that is, I guess, like that's in the lake, kind of being burned. And I guess that what happens is all Grisha that I guess die are burnt they're 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 turned into, I guess, at one point from their ashes into a brick, and then they're turned into this brick, and then that brick is then they take that and use that and put it into a wall that surrounds the little palace.
So they
So
continue to defend Ravka.
exactly.
Yeah.
Which is actually kind of really cool and
Yeah.
beautiful. But yeah, so it's anyways. Nikolai delivers a little eulogy, which is actually kind of nice. The little thing saying how like he just didn't really ever he only discussed like blueprints and little things with him, but it was nice. Jinya tries to kind of say something, but she really can't. Zoya starts to drift off into a memory, and it then takes her into this memory where she starts to see her uncles. And apparently, it makes her like she remembers that her father was Suli. Okay, so like
Okay. That's a big.
yeah. Hold it. Mm-hmm. Wait.
That's a big old.
Yeah, exactly. Like, is that
nugget.
okay? Right. So, they kind of like just like throw this in here,
Mm-hmm.
like it could real easily just like be slid on by, but that's kind of a really big nugget to just slide on by.
Yes.
We didn't know that. Okay, I didn't. Did you?
But remember, she understood the Suli at the beginning.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yeah.
I knew something was up at that point.
Yes. But
yeah, that's a big.
yeah. So, anyways, we now know, like, apparently it all comes together that, yeah, Zoya's father actually
She's half Suli.
is Suli. Yeah. And apparently, like, I mean, her uncle, like, so her mother had married her father, who was Suli, and the uncles are, like, trying to get him to, like, not marry the mother and whatever. And she remembers, like, the men, like, trying to get him to, like, leave and whatever. So the memory ends. It's a really short memory. It's not really like it's not this big, large memory, but the memory ends with her remembering how much it hurts, like this love, how much love hurts. And she goes, so she's back now in this funeral, and Zoya then speaks. Because one thing we realize, like she notices, Jenya can't. Jenya can't speak. And Zoya speaks for Jenya and delivers an outstanding eulogy. And she ends with, and here's the quote: David Koski returns to the making at the heart of the world. He will always be with us. Most of the soldiers didn't know the traditional reply, but the Grisha did. Quote, as he returns, so will we all. End quote. So David's ashes would be placed in the wall surrounding the small palace. There will be an empty space next to him where they will have Jenya's. So that's nice.
Poor Jenya has like gone through it.
I know. Yep. And now I'm going to read this next quote. Quote, and this is where Jenya speaks. I need to go to him, Jenya whispered. One last time. She had pulled a notebook from her pocket, the pages held open. It took Zoya a moment to understand what it was. She glimpsed a few words in David's scrawls. Ideas for compliments, hair color, texture, smile, causes and effects, talents, tailoring, tonics, compliments, hair color, texture, smiles, causes and effects, talents, tailoring, tonics, senses of styles, inquirers of style, teeth, size of feet, his journal, Zoya said, where David had written down all his little reminders for how to make Jenya happy. Jenya looked out at the lake. I need to get across, end quote. End quote. That is so sweet. So what that was is like Jenya found the journal of what David had written of like how to like compliment Jenya. And like, I'm sorry, that is so sweet. I know I probably didn't read that the best way, but like, how sweet. Because we know David, like, he just like, he wasn't the most talkative person, but like, he loved Jenya with all his heart. And like, so sweet. So anyways, she wants to get across, and obviously he's in the middle of this lake by now. Zoya, of course, wants to help her. So Zoya uses her power to help her get across, and she uses her power, which makes an ice path to form to get her all the way across to David's pyre in the middle of the lake, and which, by the way, is using not like all her power. Like, remember, like she's a squaller, so I mean that is using a lot of power, not just her power, not just squaller power, but everybody's power. So now we squip. We squip.
We
now,
squid.
Squip. Yep. Squip. New word.
Yeah.
We move on out to after the funeral. Jenya refuses to be alone and follows Zoya. Zoya needs to attend a meeting. Don't forget that there's stuff going on.
Yeah. There's a war.
Yep. And they do need to fill David's position. David was a member of the Triumvirate. So they do have to fill that. And they do have to figure out how to move on. They did just get attacked. There are a lot, like, there's a lot going on. So there is a war meeting going on. And so Jenya goes with Zoya. And they have to discuss, like, what the current logistics are. One thing they discuss is all the metal that they had to make those missiles with that special metal has been destroyed. Also, they discuss that Oskervo is most likely going to be the next place that they presume Fjerda will strike next. And also, they talk about what the Darkling might plan next. They ponder whether he will join Fjerda and whether he will join with the Apparat, what his plans might be. And then Jenya speaks up. She hasn't spoke up during this entire meeting. And she speaks up and says for the first time, and says she doesn't think the Darkling will join the Apparat because of pride. And she says the Darkling punishes everyone that betrays him. And it's true. Like, I mean, he does. So they decide also that they need a new source of titanium for these rockets. Nikolai says he might have a perfect idea for this, and that idea might come from Kirch. And just to speed us along to this, I'm going to skip us ahead to that quote. And that quote is, "But Ketterdam is the right place to gamble." End quote, end chapter. So, I wonder where he's leading.
Are we gonna go to Ketterdam? Please say yes.
I'm just going to say, I have no clue where this was heading when I read this.
Yeah.
So, for those of you that had read this, let's see. I know where it's heading, but I had no clue where it was when I did read this.
Mm-mm.
But anyways, interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, cool stuff. Okay. Well, it's that special time for... GrishaCast news! Nope. GrishaCast news! We have no GrishaCast news.
There's
but
none.
Thank you. Sorry, we have no GrishaCast news, but we had to do that anyways. Thank you for our Grisha in the field for still being out in that field. But there was none. But thank you, Alex, for being out there.
Mm-hmm.
We will be back live to you next week. But anyways, carrying on. And anyways, yeah. So yeah. Next.
So, anyways, yes. Moving on. Yeah. Moving on. Anyways.
Yeah. I
Okay.
think I said that great, huh? That's what my script said.
Yes. Written verbatim.
Verbatim. Yep. So next week we will cover chapters 21 through 23.
Woo.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Well, we love you all, and long live the Grishaverse. Bye-bye.
Like, we're at the end of the hour, so my voice is a little husky. A plus.
No mourners.
No funerals.
This has been GrishaCast. Connect with us on the web at GrishaCast.com. Send an email to info@GrishaCast.com.
Follow us on Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, YouTube, and TikTok at GrishaCast.
Thank you to our staff, Chris, Alex, Sid, Michelle, and Amber.